Yeah, that's the one thing I have is my eyesight. So my phone actually is really funny. I have the writing on the smallest setting it could be.
Nice.
'Cause I have a weird kind of OCD tendency where I like things to be a little bit difficult.
Okay, yeah.
I find it very satisfying and sort of necessary for me to exist. Because, I'm just really fun that way. We've all got our things.
Right.
But, yeah, anytime I have to do any kind of Zoom or conference call or any of these, the technologies of the new world that we live in now, where we live in our rooms, I managed to bungle it because I am also just a 90-year-old woman who's just like, what is technology?
Welcome, everybody, to Casting for Two, the podcast, as always, hosted by yours truly. My name is Chris. Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode number 388, continuing on with the podcast birthday month. Again, I've said it in past episodes, it's going to be a lot more chill month than the years prior. But this week, I will be releasing a couple episodes for you with some very special and wonderful guests, one of which is on this show right here, right now. I got the one and only Berg, fantastic musical artist, writer, is just a person. I enjoyed our chat so much, and a super cool person. Berg, she has an album out right now called Get Z to the Nunnery, which, again, it's available right now on all major digital platforms, and vinyl, I believe, as well. But Z was so much fun to talk to, and this, I always forget to mention this, but some of these episodes were recorded before COVID, and then some are after COVID. This is, or not after, but during COVID. This is an episode recorded during COVID. So we do talk about the situations that are going on, not only with COVID, but also the world in general. And again, just a blast talking with Z, but I'm done talking because I want to get into this episode so you all can listen to what I heard. All right? Does that make sense? But everybody sit back, relax, and Z, take it away. Yeah, no, it's... I totally get how technology would be what just because it moves so fast. And I was talking to a friend about this, but I was just like, why is Zoom so popular? I've been using Zoom for years, and I don't understand why people all of a sudden discovered it and are having fun with it. It blew my mind when Zoom became a thing.
I've got a question for you.
Absolutely.
How old is Zoom?
So Zoom is about, I want to say, between 10 and 8 years.
Okay, because I've been rewatching Fringe in the last month, which I don't know if you've ever seen it, but it's a J.J. Abrams sort of crime procedural, but it's about the multiverse and converging parallel universes and fringe science. And it is basically a documentary about 2020. And
Correct.
I've never felt like I've been watching the right thing more at the right time. But there was a scene where a character, and this is like 2007, so
Right.
it's just a different thing, but this character comes in to sort of Walter, the main scientist. She comes in with this tablet, and she says, Walter, I downloaded Zoom for you, and shows it to him, and it's like Zoom appears. And she's like, I can sit down and watch it with you if I want. And I, like, jumped out of bed and was like, what is going on? Like, as you know, my only explanation for 2020 is that, like, the tenets of our reality are crumbling, and there are soft spots in our universe, and the multiverse is converging, and that is the only explanation for the horror show that we are currently living in, which is essentially the premise of Fringe. And then while I'm watching Fringe, I keep having these terrifying moments of, like, deja vu, where there'll be conversations that I just had verbatim that then will just appear in the show. So either I'm having a nervous breakdown or the universe is.
Right. Or maybe J.J. Abrams was aware of all the events and was like, you know what? Every couple of years, I'm going to update Fringe with, current events.
Honestly, I would be unsurprised. J.J. Abrams is a goddamn genius. He knows what he's doing.
I also, you don't know how happy it makes me that you're watching Fringe.
Really?
Yes, because when that show came out, I was all obsessed about it, but I didn't have anybody to talk to about it because nobody watched the show, and so
no one's ever seen it but you and me.
I guess so. It was a show for just us two.
Yeah, it's very strange. It's such a fucking good show, too. I love this show. It's been really keeping me afloat the last month.
Oh, man, that's so... And, the weirdest thing was the last season, because I used to rent the Blu-rays that when they came out, because I wanted to watch them all. I didn't want to do weekly. But I remember watching the show... And then it just jumped towards something weird, and I was just like, did I miss something or not? Oh, well. And then it turns out I missed a couple of episodes, and I was just like, but I followed the episode list. I don't understand. What? And so now I need to go back. Are you watching it on a Hulu or?
I'm watching it on Amazon.
On Amazon, okay.
Yeah, you can watch it with commercials for free, and without commercials, you have to buy it. But at this point, I'm just like, commercials are strangely calming. I'm like, just give me this shit. I'm like, just keep seeing commercials for, like, anti-Crohn's medication. I'm just like, all right, I welcome you. I welcome your bright colors.
And this is the last thing I'll say about Fringe. Because
a whole interview about Fringe.
Oh, okay, all right, we're going. No.
Who cares about my music?
We'll talk a little bit about that, but more Fringe. No, I just love the character Olivia, the main investigator, because she's just so warm. She's so warm and sweet. And I remember watching Castle at the same time as Fringe, and that police officer. She was just very cold and like, I'm a badass. And
what
and
is
then
Castle?
Castle is the show with Nathan Fillion, where he's a crime author, and so he, in order to do research for his books, he goes out on these police, investigations.
Jesus Christ. I just spilled coffee on myself.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
This is something that happens every day of my life at this point, because I just conduct all my business from bed now. Which, because fucking why not?
Right.
But I just won't learn my lesson that, like, if you drink coffee lying down, you will spill coffee on yourself and on your bed. And I just, like, won't get that into my thick skull. So this is just a daily occurrence. So I'm topless now. How's the interview going?
Yeah, very good so far. No, when pre-corona, I had a computer that died on me, and all I could use was my laptop to record interviews. But I was just like, I had that same mentality of, I'm gonna lay in bed and talk to people. So I would just full on just lay down, have the microphone to my mouth, and then I didn't fall asleep though, but yeah, I get the notion of working in bed.
Yeah, I've like just come to do absolutely everything in bed because I've also I've been quarantining so much harder than anyone I know since before it was even like mandated here, because I have been obsessed with plagues since I was a little kid, and I've been literally like waiting for this moment for my entire life. I was just like, I know it's gonna motherfucking happen. Nobody listens to me, and here we are. So the second I was in Paris in the beginning of February, and the second I got home, I was just like, I will see you all next year. Goodbye. And I have now blacked out all the windows in my bedroom, and I conduct all my business in here, and I don't leave the house, and it's been a really long time.
Yeah.
So my vibe is interesting.
Well, okay. So since you, where do you live? What coast are you on?
I live in Eagle Rock.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
in Los Angeles.
Okay, cool. So as far as, being locked up and blacking out the windows and boarding the doors and all that good stuff, do you feel that there's been a spike in your creativity?
Well, I've handled this pretty well considering. I was lucky in that my record was finished already. So I kind of had it was a bit of a great luxury to have all this time before it coming out. So I made this whole visual album for it. And so I learned how to edit and became an expert in copyright law. And, I made a whole 37-minute movie basically for my record, which was a really kind of wonderful use of my time and something I'd always wanted to do but had never really had the opportunity to do so.
Yeah.
And I've also written a lot, and, I think I've written my whole next record, and I've started recording it. So my intention will be to try and finish that by the end of the summer, so I have, a whole next record just ready to go. And so, yeah, so creatively it has been great. It's also been great for my drinking, and I keep the television on 24 hours a day, so the amount of TV that I've managed to watch is really unbelievable. Because I realize it's just on all the time, because it's it doesn't make sense how much television I've been able to watch. But when I'm writing, I keep it on. When I'm editing, I keep it on. When I'm exercising, I keep it on. It's just I just need friends with me in my room. Otherwise, I'll lose it.
I need to hear the voices.
Yeah, I watched Grey's Anatomy for the first time, which is kind of off-brand for me, but I just figured, you know what? Fuck it. I don't know what else to watch. And it's 16 fucking seasons,
Yeah.
And
and still going.
and I just had it on for fucking 24 hours a day in my room. And when I finished it at 3 o'clock in the morning, and I was like, I had such weird Stockholm syndrome that I just started it all over again immediately, and was like, I can't leave this hospital. I'm head of cardiothoracic in Seattle Grace. They need me. I can't just leave everybody. And I had to finally force myself to separate from the hospital and go to the Fringe division where
there we go. Yep.
now I reside. So so as you can tell, my grasp of reality is tenuous at best.
No, I mean, and it's perfectly normal to lose all grasp of reality, especially this time. If there was any time to do that, it would be now. But I find myself with not all this time, because I've done the podcast remotely forever, so that's work for me hasn't changed, but all these good shows are coming out, and everyone's talking about them, and I'm just like, I want to listen to music and just stare at, my cup, just stuff like I don't want to do anything. I just want to zone out and just listen to music. I don't, and it's definitely for sure this pandemic has people going loopy in many different ways.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. But here we are.
Still here.
Yeah, I a little bit keep waiting for it to reset and be January 1st and be like, haha, well that was all a joke. Excellent. Let us go forth and be free.
Right.
Also, it's I just wouldn't even be surprised. This year is so absolutely the Mad Libs whack-a-mole of catastrophe that we are all living through. It's just unlike anything I've ever experienced, because each new thing that happens, you're like, I really didn't see that coming. And then the next new thing, you're like, I fucking really didn't see that thing coming. What on earth? And it kind of just keeps escalating until, I don't know how this ends. But where are the aliens? Where is the meteor? They're coming. Just depends on what month.
Exactly, yeah. Every month is going to bring something new. And I feel the same way. It would not surprise me if we all went to sleep at the same time, woke up, and it was January 1st again, and okay.
God, that'd be great. Yeah. Oh, boy. But alas, here we are.
Yes. But I'm curious, you mentioned that you wrote your next album. Is it's not all Corona-themed music, is it?
Yes, it's all really detailed scientific information about the virus. It's going to be amazing. No, it's there's a bit about sort of, isolation and reflection, but it's all my fucking music is about fucking tragic isolation and nostalgia and reflection, so it's not that fucking different. But I also went through a pretty traumatizing breakup at the very beginning of the year. And which is quite funny because I remember at the very beginning of the year being so devastated and going I can't believe how horrible this year is already. How is this happening? And the year was hold my beer.
Yeah, exactly.
You think that's terrible? Suck on this, lady.
Yeah, wait until February.
Yeah, truly. This year is so bad that we're not thinking about the fact that Kobe Bryant tragically died in a fiery helicopter accident. We've forgotten about that because that's how bad this year is. What the fuck?
Yeah. They
It's so sad.
I don't want to put a damper on anything, but yeah,
I'm sorry, I'm giving you a doomsday podcast. Basically.
No, that's fine. I haven't had a doomsday podcast in a while. No, but you said this year's so bad, it's just one thing after another. I forgot Kobe Bryant was dead until I saw the NBA 2K game that's coming out, and they had a Kobe Bryant edition. And I was just like, why is Kobe getting one? And I was just, oh, yeah, I forgot he, passed away in one of the most, tragic events. It's like, oh, my gosh, I just forgot out of that. Yeah, it's
insane. Also, remember when all of Australia burned to the ground?
Yeah.
That was the beginning of the year. That's the thing. Remember when we all started World War III? Remember when we all thought that Kim Jong-un was dead for a couple weeks? That was a fun time.
Yeah.
I just keep saying this year has real fucking writer's strike energy. It's just there's no cohesive plot line running through this fucking thing. It's all right, we give meth gators and murder hornets one episode arcs. It's just guys, I don't fucking buy this shit. Someone needs to do it's like the fourth season of any CW show where they're just they've already put their characters through so much that they're just fuck it, one of them's gotta fucking die, let's kill Marissa Cooper, we gotta just keep this fucking train rolling.
Right.
And we're all just living it.
So do you want to predict the next thing to happen?
I really, really don't. The thing is, we're about to enter fire season, so that, and I live in LA, so I'm it's not, none of the things that can happen are jokes. They're all things that are going to happen. We're overdue for a massive earthquake. Got some hurricanes coming, everything. Yeah, I mean, my existential dread about just global warming in general is pretty much what keeps my mind occupied 24 hours a day. So it's like, even if we manage to make it out of this mess and, like, get this fucking evil, demented dictator out of office, which who knows if that's even possible, global warming has still progressed so far that it doesn't matter. None of it matters. It is all for naught. We are fucked.
Mm-hmm.
Did you expect this was going to be your interview?
Yeah, no, but it's funny you say that because, Burger King
you got
announced...
me in a mood, babe.
No, I'm totally fine with that. Burger King announced that they're going to start feeding their cows, lemongrass to produce less cow farts? So,
yeah.
So
How
we're
about
saved.
everyone...
We're saved.
Yeah, great job. Also, honestly, the fact that we're not even discussing meat eating and how the fact that I've been a vegetarian for 18 years. I don't like proselytize about it because I'm not an asshole. But the fact that almost most plagues come from eating animals, FYI, and we're not even discussing that, let alone the fact that, like, the methane gas produced from animal farming is, like, one of the most massive contributors to global warming. And we're just like, whatever, we like to eat our steak. Like, fucking come on. Again, my personal brand of OCD is, like, I woke up one morning and I thought about meat. And I was just like, this is dead. You guys are so dumb. You want to eat some fucking dead shit? What are you doing? This is crazy. And then my brain just never reoriented itself, and I've never eaten meat ever again.
Nah.
So, yeah, I kind of have this thing where I can't just like accept the reality around me. It's like I think too much about I am little Woody Allen, like in Annie Hall. I'm just like, the universe is expanding. Why do I have to go to school? What's the point? It's like, that is me. That is me as a person.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with questioning your environment around you and also making the print on your phone extra small. If that's how you want to live your life, I will.
You.
I'm not going to stop you. Yeah, I want everybody to live their life.
It's just like a litany of small quirks, and it's interesting stuff. It's my friends and I kind of have. Well, I have one of my best friends has been like, I just can't figure out what the pattern is with you. And I was like, you don't understand. The pattern is there is no pattern. Yeah. My life is like being on a first date every day with a stranger, and I never know what she's going to do. But I'm both people in this scenario. And it is, I mean, it's thrilling, it's always exciting, but it's like I never know how I'm going to react to anything. There's no pattern to it.
No, yeah, and again, there's many types of people in the world, and we need people like you. So thank you.
Just keeping it weird,
Would you like to talk about the album that you just released, or about Fringe? I'll leave it up to
you. I mean, I could talk about Fringe for fucking ever, but yeah, fuck it. Let's talk about it. Also, should I not be swearing prolifically? I keep forgetting that this is being recorded.
I don't give a fudge if you keep swearing, all right? You can do whatever you want. This is your episode.
Ooh, give a fudge.
Yeah.
Do you not swear on your podcast, or do you not swear in real life?
I do swear in on the podcast and in real life. I just thought it'd be funny to say fudge.
Okay, I like it. It was
because I have no pattern too. I'm wild. You hear me? I'm uncontrollable. Fudge it.
Yeah, I can hear that in the sound of your voice. You sound like a real wild card, babe.
Thank you. As the guy who listens to music and stares at a cup for hours. Yeah, I'm wild. No, I'm just curious. Of course, yeah, we've talked about the situation we're all in right now. Is it weird having released an album in the current climate that we're in?
It's interesting because there are sort of two sides to it. The one side is my shows are like these massive community building immersive events. Like I throw these like themed participatory concerts where like I'll throw a prom where everyone dresses up and they like wait in line for hours in prom dresses, and I decorate the whole building.
Aww.
And it, it creates this whole kind of like immersive experience. And not having that as a factor when I've just put out a record is definitely extraordinarily weird. And quite sad, obviously. At the same time, I think that my record is so truly and deeply the most appropriate record for listening to trapped in your room in plague quarantine while racked with existential dread and regret for every decision you've ever made. So in a way, it's kind of the perfect record to come out right now.
And I was listening to it and I really enjoyed it, and I did feel that sense of oh gosh, I need to think about some stuff that's going on in my life, which is fine. It's definitely fine. But I was curious, was there one song on the album that was a little bit harder to figure out whether the lyrics or the music just wasn't working for you?
God, that's a good question. Interestingly, probably all of them. I started writing this record 10 years ago.
Okay.
I've been in bands since I was 15 years old, and I've just gone from band to band. And 10 years ago, I started writing these songs basically because I sang on a Bright Eyes record Casadega, and through that I met Connor and Jason Bozell, who played drums in Jams and Phases with me. He also played drums in Bright Eyes, and I met Gillian Welch and Dave Rawlings, and it was all kind of a crew hangout at the time, and we would have these parties that were just song circles. And we would sit around and drink and just go around a circle and play songs. It was so fucking fun. And I had never been in the position where I just had to have songs that were these utterly self-contained pieces of music I could just play by myself at a party, and impress some of my favorite songwriters in the world. I was in the light since I was 15, and everything I wrote was written for a band. Like I wrote all the parts at the time. It never kind of occurred to me to just be able to like play these songs by myself. So that was kind of the genesis of writing these sort of songs and starting this process, was just I need to be able to play a song by myself and, impress these people.
Yeah. And
so I started writing the songs 10 years ago, and it's been really over the course of like my entire 20s that these songs span. So in a way, they were all, they've all sort of undergone changes, and, some of them are from when I was 20, some of them are from last year. They really span some time. But for the most part, recording them, I had a pretty specific vision for what I wanted this record to be, which is always kind of just the record I always wanted to make, which is like, I was obsessed with Nico's Chelsea Girl when I was a kid, and the finger picking. Creating a world that once you start the record, that is where you live, and like nothing sort of takes you out of it. It is just like, these are the tenets of your reality. These are the rules of your universe. Stay here for a while, see what happens. So once we got in and started recording, it happened pretty naturally, probably because, I've been like dreaming of making this record for 600 years.
Well, okay, so what, when, again, you said you wrote a lot of these songs 10 years ago. When you were reworking them, did you ever feel like, working on a song that long, was it like, I don't know who this person was, or could you still relate to that person in you at that time?
I must say, one would hope that I would feel that way, that I had experienced some kind of personal growth between the ages of 20 and 30, but spoiler alert, I did not. in ways that are good and ways that are bad. I stopped growing when I was 12 years old. I've looked the same. Like the portrait in my attic must be just absolutely decrepit. But I really was just like this developed human. You know, I was like a 12-year-old child walking around. I was just obsessed with death and Kafka and Shakespeare, dressed like a hooker. Nobody knew what the fuck to do with me. And I can't say that I've changed a whole lot since then. And also, you know, the funny part is that the major themes in this record are really doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result, which is sort of just the nature of my relationships. It's like that I fall for the same face every time. It's not it's not like an allegory. It is my life.
Right.
And I think that I try and like process my childhood trauma by putting myself in the same position over and over again and dating basically exactly the same person and hoping that if this time it ends differently, that will sort of resolve all the trauma from my past. And so I've had 5 months in my room alone to think about this and how I need to change that. But the record itself is kind of an examination of not learning your lesson, and it's just like endlessly putting your finger in the light socket over and over again and expecting you won't be electrocuted. Spoiler alert, you will.
Right. I mean, I think we all can relate to that, even though we talk big and like, oh yeah, I've got everything figured out. At the end of the day, you go home and you hang out by yourself, and it's just like, oh fuck, I don't have anything figured out. And you fall in love with the same person. Lord knows I've done that so many times, and I'm always surprised to get my heart ripped out. I don't know why, but I don't know. Whatever.
Yeah, it's really something. Mine's so extreme too because they all look exactly the same. Also, like straight up. Like if you put everyone I love next to each other, like boys and girls too. It's like it looks like a family. So it's like it's so extreme.
Wow.
And I'm just really I'm like, are you like potentially an orphan? Do you have substance abuse issues? Are you exactly the same person as everyone I've ever dated? But I'm going to break those patterns because I've been sent to my room to think about what I've done, and I plan to learn.
There we go. Earlier you mentioned about having fun shows where people wear prom dresses. FYI, side note, did you see a lot of guys wearing the prom dresses too? Or was it literally everyone?
Not a lot of guys. Honestly, there's not a lot of guys that come to see me. It's a pretty female-centric and very young audience, which I don't know how that happened because I'm fucking ancient. But it's a lot of young girls.
Oh, okay. But the one question I like to ask musicians, if there's one thing I love on the podcast, it's a good horror story. And I'm wondering if you have any gig horror stories.
Fuck. Do I have any gig horror story? I mean, honestly, I feel like I black out everything that's traumatizing that's ever happened to me, so I'm like really nothing coming to mind. You know what's funny is this is not a horror story. It's kind of the opposite, but I hate awkward moments, and I have this, every now and again in the show, your amp will break, some piece of gear will break, and there will be this awkward silence. And I always have this dream that, like, I'll have the perfect joke, and, like, I'll tell the joke, and then it'll all work out. And that has never happened until this fucking last. I did a tour with my sort of touring collective called the Dead End Kids Club last fall, and it was the most chaotic tour of all time. We hadn't. It was 4 separate bands. We were all each other's backup band. The set changed every night. I was on stage for 20 of the 24 songs, and we all sang harmony with each other. And we'd never really rehearsed any of it. It was just kind of wildness. but there was one of the early shows we were playing, and my amp just wouldn't work. And I panicked, and then I told the joke from Pulp Fiction. The three tomatoes are walking down the street. Papa tomato, mama tomato, baby tomato. Baby tomato starts lagging behind. Papa tomato gets real angry, and he walks back, and he just squashes the baby tomato, and he says, "Ketchup." It's not a great joke, but it's a wonderful moment in that movie.
Yeah.
And I told that joke in that moment when my amp went out, and the fucking crowd went wild, and then my amp turned back on, and I was just like, this is the best day of my life. Why did this work? What witchcraft is this?
You summoned the power of Tarantino, and he was with you at that
Honestly,
moment.
I fucking did. Yeah, like he saved my ass, because it just worked.
There we go. Yeah, so now you just got to quote Tarantino. But also, I feel like that's a good way to gauge the cool people. Even though if they're at your show, they're all automatically cool. But still.
The funny part, too, is that they're so young. I have no idea if any of them had ever seen Pulp Fiction. It was just like, it just worked. It was just one of those moments, you know? Oh, man. Yeah, it was really solid.
Nice.
I love also this was the only joke that came to mind.
You know what? Sometimes jokes are classic. You know, it's good to have one in the back pocket. Especially
yeah, it is very important to have a joke in your back pocket.
For the people at home who would like to keep up with everything that you're doing, you know, pick up the new album, you know, all good stuff like that. Where can they do all that?
So, you can stream my record on all streaming platforms, Spotify, Apple Music. You can buy it on iTunes if that's still even a thing. Who fucking knows? You also can order my vinyl, which is very exciting because it is absolutely the best way to listen to this, on my website, which is just zzberg.com. So you can buy vinyl, and I've made a nice little collection of apocalypse supplies. I've made masks. I made a cute little journal called Screaming into the Void that has my lyrics printed in it, and then the rest of it's blank, so you can print your sad lyrics in it too. And yeah, my visual album is on my YouTube channel along with a shit ton of other videos. Yeah, YouTube is a fun place for me because I have been playing music for so long that I made a playlist of every single one of my videos in consecutive order. So starting when I was 18 and the like, and it's quite a journey. And there are like 15 of them or something. So yeah, to watch them all like in chronological order, it's like literally watching me grow up in video form. It's really a trip.
Nice. Is it so is it weird watching yourself, or are you just like, that's me, whatever, who cares? Like, are you able to enjoy the work that you do?
Yeah, I am. I have a strange relationship with myself where when I talk to myself, I say you. You know, like if I have a couple drinks, I wink at myself in the mirror. It's like I have a little bit of the feeling of like there's a separation from self. That, like, I feel a little bit like, God, what's that movie where what is his name? He plays
John Malkovich?
Down to Earth, or fucking Far from Heaven. What the fuck is it? He plays he's like a young football player, and he dies and gets to heaven, and they're like, oh shit, you were not supposed to die. We made a mistake. And so they gave him a new body, and it's like this big old Republican rich dude, and he has to kind of figure out what to do with his life. That's a little bit how I feel. I feel a little bit like I am like a 45-year-old, like really hardened Russian man who was falsely imprisoned and died in prison. And they were like, well, you know what? We really fucked up. We're going to give you a body. And here it's this like tiny young girl and that's kind of what my life feels like.
You know what? That would make sense. You waking up and just being like, I hate meat now. That's when the change happened.
Yeah, honestly, it's the only explanation, because otherwise I don't really make sense as a person.
No. I had a blast chatting with you. I hope there weren't any awkward moments through this, first of all.
No, this has been great for me. You let me really go off.
No, and it's part of, I've been doing this podcast for 7 years, and I got to a point where I'm just like, I don't want to ask, the same questions. So when you come loaded with Fringe and apocalypse, stuff, like you don't know how much I appreciate that.
Well, I'm pleased. Yeah. Also, it's good to get me in the morning, because I'm like, my schedule's so fucking insane. I've been going to bed at 6 o'clock in the morning every day, and so this is really like first thing in the morning for me. So I'm definitely a little friskier than usual, even. So you got some fun moments with old Equalizer.
All right.
Fine.
No, anytime you want to come back on and just shoot the shit, please, please just say the word. All right.
Yeah, I'll let you know when I finish Fringe. I'm sure I'll have a lot to talk about.
There we go. But I'll let you go. Have a good rest of your day. Keep drinking coffee in bed, and just I don't know, hanging out with
try not
Olivia.
to spill.
Yeah, and try not to would it be bad getting a straw? I'm not a coffee drinker. Is that a bad thing? Do people frown on coffee and straws? I don't know.
It's complicated.
Okay.
There is a straw somewhere around here. I've got a metal straw, but I feel like it's fallen under my bed. It's honestly, it's fucking chaos here.
That's too much effort. Yeah, that's too much effort. No.
I am unraveling.
Well, again.
Well, I wish you luck. You also don't spill, and keep your chin up.
Oh, I will, absolutely. Thank you so much. Again, have a good rest of your day.
Thank you, too.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye.